My dad literally was like, I'll drive you to and from Planned Parenthood and I'll pay for it. My biggest fears were just not being able to keep a roof over our head and a vehicle, which you need with kids. It's just, there's so many appointments and so many things to do. So I was like, this is not like the time. I'm Lucy. I have 3 kids, and when I was pregnant, well, now I have 4, but I had 3, and when I was pregnant with number 4, um, I was like, I kind of just like felt it. So I took a test, and then of course I was like, we can't do this right now because we live in an apartment. I don't have like money. I had just gotten like a back injury at work, so I was like about to be heading out of work and getting on disability. Like, I did not know how this was going to work. I had literally planned an abortion at the like my local Planned Parenthood. And because I was like, there's no way we can do all of this stuff. And then we ended up getting a car that we needed to do a lot of work to, which obviously work costs money. At the time, my boyfriend had only had his new job for like, I want to say it was like 2, maybe not even, maybe a week when I found out I was pregnant. So this all was kind of going on at the same time. In the beginning, I was like, there's no way we can like keep this apartment. There is just no way. Like, I mean, so our rent is like really high. I know everybody's rent is high with inflation, but it like seems astronomical. Like, we could definitely be paying on a mortgage, because it's $22.50 a month, which is like a lot. But we need 4 bedrooms, and that's kind of like, unfortunately, that's like the going rate. And we're living with my boyfriend's brother, who's like awesome. He's like an awesome dude. He's like a really good uncle. But obviously, eventually, we want to get out of that. But we're like, there's no way we can get out of that if we can't even afford like the rent of the place we're in. So that was like my biggest fear, was getting evicted, not having a vehicle. Because with my oldest, I didn't have a vehicle, and we took public transportation. It was very simple. But with 4 kids, like, it's obviously not as simple to take public transportation. So that was another fear of mine. And also, we can't afford 2 cars. So like, it was going to be like pick a struggle type thing. And obviously my boyfriend takes it because he has to drive to and from work. I try to find work like within the area so I can walk, or I was like taking Uber to my last job. So those were like my biggest fears, were just not being able to keep a roof over our head and a vehicle, which you need with kids. It's just, there's so many appointments and so many things to do. So I was like, this is not like the time. And I like brought it up to a friend, and it was not a very close friend. And she was like she is an avid churchgoer. And she told me to go to, there's a couple like pro-life centers in like my area. Like, one's right down the street from me. And so I did go there, with a friend, and it was really great. And they were really helpful. Obviously they can't do like as much as you guys can. I reached out, and you guys gave me like the best. My counselor, yes, she's been so awesome. I love her. And basically you guys really helped me out. You helped us with rent, and with like donors have helped give us clothes. So you guys were able to help us keep our apartment, because we were like behind on rent. Fix our car, which has been really helpful because it's hot, and without a car it's really hard to get around, especially with 4 kids. You guys have just really allowed me to keep my baby, which I would not have otherwise. And I have 3 boys, and she's my only girl, so I'm very happy about that. I wish I could show her. She's sleeping. If she wakes up, I will. She's really great. She's awesome. And you guys have single-handedly helped us be able to do that, because like I said, I had an appointment like 3 days away, when I really started talking with my counselor. So, and the groups have been great, because you feel like really alone when you're faced with this situation, even though so many people, it seems like so normalized that people seek out and follow through with abortions. And it seems so not normalized that people keep them and find a support group and find support. So that was really helpful, because like, you think that you're alone, but you're not alone. There's like tons of other people going through it, the same thing. So we were able to talk and connect, in that way. My parents, they're at the point where like, I think they've decided, I'm their only child, so like, I'm the only one. I think they've decided that like, in the past, their approach has been to not be supportive and to kind of like punish me. But at this point, like, I'm 30 years old, and like, yes, I may need financial help sometimes, which they don't even really help me with anymore. I may need to just vent to my mom, and I feel like they've taken they've gone from like wanting to punish me and seeing me as like a teenager still to like, okay, she's an adult, these are the decisions she's making. Even if they don't agree, like my dad literally was like, I'll drive you to and from Planned Parenthood and I'll pay for it. And I was like, kind of in my head, I'm like, well, if you would offer to pay for that, would you offer to help put your finances towards something else? I find a lot of pro-choice people, including my dad, are pro the choice they want you to make, not the choice that you actually want to make. So that's another reason that I was glad to have support, because my parents in the past have been like, okay, well, like, we're not going to talk to you anymore, like, why are you doing this, like, blah blah. But they end up coming around when the baby's here. I'm actually kind of proud of them because they took a different approach. They were supportive after their initial shock and kind of like disappointment, for lack of a better word. They have been very supportive, like the whole time. So I want to say from like when I was 12 weeks and I basically put my foot down and was like, I'm not getting an abortion. They were like, well, what else? We can't like what other stance can we take? You know, like we have to support her. Cause they are there for my sons. Like they really, like they drive them to and from school sometimes. Like they're really supportive in other ways. It's just that way. So I'm glad that they did come around and everybody really loves her. My dad doesn't really like babies, so like he hasn't held her or anything. But when they're like older, like he loves my 2-year-old, but like a newborn, he's just kind of like, okay. So yeah, I'm glad that they've kind of changed the way that they are looking at this situation. Sometimes people don't budge. Like my dad budged. I mean, he didn't specifically put the money towards something else, but he ended up, coming around. If they're really not going to budge and they're not like family or somebody that you need to keep in your life, maybe you don't need them in your life. I mean, that does sound harsh, but if somebody's like super pressuring you, like, I'll drive you there, I'll pay for it, I'll pick you up, I'll get you food after, that can be really hard to actually say no to, especially when you're in such a desperate situation, like, especially if you just really need food and they're like, we can stop somewhere on the way, like, and I feel like they take advantage of that. If you're a real friend, like your friends may not always do things that you agree with, but like there's always another way to support them, even if like, I mean, you could just go out or you could always just do a Zoom call and catch up, or like, I mean, I feel like so many people are, well, it is mostly pro-choice people. If they don't see you do what they want you to do for your life, then they're kind of like just like out of it, just like just don't care really. I know it's hard because everybody says you have to have a village, but try to find a support group like this one, or even if it's from your local library or your local church or anything. Like I mean, there's tons of like free places around here. I know not everybody's that lucky like to live in a city, but even meeting like mom friends online, the first place I went every single time was I joined a due date group every single time. And I actually, my son was just in Maine, my 9-year-old, with someone I met in his due date group, and we've been friends for a decade. And all 3 of our kids, or 3 of her kids and 4 of my kids are friends. And I wouldn't have met her if I didn't join that due date group. So she was like support that I didn't have, not family, not somebody I knew in person until I met her in person, that I met through a due date group. So there's like definitely a lot of different types of support groups that you can turn to, even if you don't have family that's supportive, or because they have been my village, yeah, aside from my family. The hardships, the worrying never ends, pretty much from like the first second you get a positive test or whatever, you talk to your healthcare provider and you're pregnant. You're worried, like, am I gonna miscarry? Am I gonna, is the baby okay? I'm puking all day, are they getting enough nutrients? It never. And then you're like, oh, when I'm in the 24 weeks, that stress will alleviate. And then you're 24 weeks and you're like, okay, what if the anatomy scan, something's wrong? And then you're like, all right, the anatomy scan was great. Okay, so what if during birth something bad happens? What if I have to have a C-section? What if they're breech? And then once that's over, you're like checking their chest every minute to see if it's like rising or falling. Like basically the worrying never ends. I have to say this time though, my level of worrying has been like down here, whereas like the other times it's been like up here. It's been a lot better this time, but basically the worrying never ends. Even my 9-year-old, like I sent him off to school today and I'm like, is he gonna get bullied? Is he gonna come home and tell me his water bottle's too nerdy? Like he has to get a different one. There's just so many levels of worrying. Like it never stops. It just changes into a different type of worry. The joys, everything else, literally. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like birth is pretty terrible, but it's also beautiful at the same time. Um, Seeing them smile for the she actually just started smiling, so that's a big one. Seeing them smile for the first time, yeah. Um, Watching them like meet milestones, like she's not sitting up yet, but like sitting up, for example, rolling over, seeing them hold a toy for the first time, because I didn't know infants couldn't hold toys when I had my first. I was like, they come out, they can hold toys, and then they come cross-eyed and grunt and don't do anything. So it's kind of, sometimes it's like shocking. You're like, I didn't know they made this much noise. Like, they are so noisy. Um, but yeah, just like all the milestones that they meet when they sleep for like longer than 2 hours, you're like, ooh, like just basically, basically everything. I would say another hardship that I wanted to add is breastfeeding is really tough. It's also beautiful. That's another, you know, beautiful thing, but it's very hard. It's hard, but I am doing it. I'm still exclusively breastfeeding. My best advice to moms that want to breastfeed is just keep going. Literally, just obviously there are things that can go wrong, but if you just latch all the time, it's. I mean, now I'm like 7 weeks in. It's easier once you're like past. I think, what is it, 5 weeks? They say it gets easier. This is my fourth time breastfeeding. Each time has been different and challenging. My oldest was the easiest, and this time has been the easiest. So I guess they're tied. The middle two were a lot different. My third, I formula fed at a young, like, I think like 3 months, because he just had really bad acid reflux. But yeah, thank you so much. Sometimes it's nice to put a face to, the money that you're sending out. So well, I really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else does too. Because it's like literally single handedly helped us, keep a roof over my kid's head. Yeah, it's so selfless, like to, you know, help out, especially financially, or just emotionally, if you're just somebody to lean on, like just to be there for other people, because there's so many people who are not, especially in this world right now. They're just like, turn a blind eye, or everybody's having, I feel like, having financial struggles with inflation, so nobody's obligated, or they don't have to give. So the fact that people do out of the kindness of their heart is super. It's just very encouraging. It's very nice. Yeah, it's really, and yeah, I'm very thankful. Yeah, really, just thank you so much. Sorry, I'm like walking around now. Um, it, you know, Thank you to the donors, because it has been life changing. Let me show you. Hold on. She's sleeping. Hey. Yeah. Are you happy? Are we gonna go for a walk? Yeah. Yeah.